So these lovely people have so generously offered to give us insights. There's a lot of them. We're gonna try and give everybody a chance to speak. If you don't want to speak, just don't, you're not allowed. Yeah, okay. A lot of these people are getting out of their comfort zone for the first time, so we appreciate you guys. We're trying to build leadership. Woo! This is amazing. Round of applause for them. Keep them encouraged. Eric doesn't get any encouragement.
Bold and bodacious.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go. Actually, you guys just want to start over there. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about you.
So,
I'm gonna send your bios in the email.
Yeah.
I'll let you do your intro.
I'm Eric Anderson. Actually, the start of this year will be my 19th year in real estate. I've run several different Keller Williams offices. Now came over to EXP. This is my first full year. We help. Our team has grown. We have approximately about 225 folks who have come over with us here to EXP once we joined, part of our Black Label Access, part of Access. Proud to be here with you guys. Proud to help. If you guys ever have any questions, just off the cuff. I'm kind of that guy that comes up with solutions. Like she says, I'm that solver, but glad to be here and help and share.
And if you ever need any encouragement, that's the one. Galvanizers, bookends.
Yes,
Okay.
bookends.
Perfect.
I'm Amber Harvalias. This is actually my 20th year in real estate.
Oh,
I know. It's
you're
hard to
ahead of me,
believe
girl.
that. I know. I'm like, how did this happen so quickly? I'm originally from Ohio. I moved to North Carolina in 2008. Did not know a soul. Sold 0 houses my first year in real estate. Grew my individual business to 65 units back when you would literally handwrite contracts. And .leave didn't exist. And we had files we submitted and files we got back if our compliance was not properly done. And then grew my team, went to Keller Williams for several years. Just kind of found that was no longer my culture that I aligned with, and I just longed for a culture that poured into me more, that was more abundant thinking. I have been at EXP a little over 2 years now, have grown my agents to 50, I now have 15 agents on the team.
Nice.
Right, Ashley. And I still sell around 100 houses a year myself too, so. I have 2 kids, Manny and Sophia, that are 5 and 6, and then my husband, Steven, also has a large gym equipment business, and he buys and sells gym equipment all over the world. And then we also own a gym too. So
Yeah, little things. And he's got big guns.
yeah, he does.
Hey, look.
So when we say top producer,
Yeah.
Beyonce has the same 24 hours in a day. But
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, so perfect. Thank you, Amber. Teresa.
Hello, everyone. I'm Theresa Lunt, and I've been in the business for 8 years now. I started with Keller Williams, where I was there for 5 years, and transitioned to EXP at the end of 2021. And I too, like Amber, I wanted to be around bigger thinkers, get in, big rooms and grow my business. I felt a little stuck at that time, and it's been fantastic. I ended 2021 before transitioning here with 12 million in volume. And then in 2023, at the end of 2022, I was at over 20 million in volume. So my first year with EXP, and have been consistent. I have been a solo agent the whole time, and I started a small team last year, which has been great. They're sitting back there. And that's my story.
All right. Thank you, Teresa.
Yeah, let me go. Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Shikha, and this is my business partner, Neha. No, actually, she's also my best friend. Together, we are Homebrewers team, and we were individually in our markets. I'm originally from New York, so is Neha. And we came together during COVID time and decided to work together. We are a small boutique team, just mostly us and our admin and a buyer's agent here in North Carolina and in New York. And I think, like all these people who just mentioned, who you surround yourself with really, really matters. It's not an opinion, it's not a question, it's not a theory, it's a law.
Right.
And I think it's just as simple as that. So I surrounded myself with my best friend. And for us, business was not just transactions, it was not just a way of, making more money, but that was just, one of the ways, but it was more about living life and enjoying what we do, and that outpoured into what we do. more passionate about what we like to do. First, we thought about staging, but then we fell into real estate. But then this is our, our passion, our goal, and we love what we do.
Hello everyone, this is Neha. My background is from civil engineering. I came here in 2015. I started with IT. Worked in New York for about 7-8 years. We moved here. Me and her husband used to work in one team, and that's how we kind of met and we clicked instantly. So we were working in different markets. I moved here in 2015. During the COVID time is what clicked us because we both were very passionate. There were Zoom calls happening. We were with Keller Williams, and she used to be in New York attending all the Zoom calls from 9 to 5. I was here doing the same thing, and it was like, we both love doing this. How about we just do it together? And knowing her, how she is, very fierce, it was like she made the decisions. She moved the whole family here, her in-laws, her parents, herself. So. And then we started our business in 2020. This is our 5th year, going strong and doing what we both love with full passion. And we are a boutique team. We do not have many agents. I guess we did not find as crazy as we both are, but it's a great fit. We love what we do. So.
It is really interesting. Has anybody ever thought about partnering with another agent?
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough.
It is.
And they can speak to this better, but a lot of times people, oh, I love this person, I want to work with them, but then there's the egos that get in the way and whose name is on the door, like that type of thing. So I love that you guys are here, love all of you guys. We're gonna go quickly into, our focus for this All Access Pass is building your business and lead generation in general. So I'm gonna ask the first question that we have, and we're gonna try to keep some time for Q&As. So just a few questions. What do you think is the most important thing an agent has to do to grow their business? Whoever wants to start first.
Okay. All right, you'll have to shut me down.
Yeah.
The timer. Just one thing I would want to say that we all have some various backgrounds, like either working for somebody or being told what needs to be done. You need to have an entrepreneur mindset. You are on your own. You got to take accountability and responsibility of your daily actions. Either it's attending trainings, putting a schedule together, doing whatever it takes to get your business out there. So I think the first thing is mindset and prepping yourself to be an entrepreneur, not an employee, not an employer. Mindset can work through this business.
And to piggyback off of that, I think a lot of agents, they always are getting ready to do something instead of actually executing it. And one of the things I would say also is we come from different backgrounds. Everyone wants to fish from the ocean instead of here's the barrel. It's time to really niche down. There are certain things that you don't have to work hard at all because you already are doing those things in your daily lives. Start there with niching down and fishing from that barrel, because a lot of us just want to throw the net out there in the ocean. That's fine. You'll catch a few here and there. But if you go and fish from that barrel, you'll be able to, prime example, Felicia, she does a lot of women empowerment. That's her niche. Dave, social media, that's his niche. Whatever your superpower is, don't try to be like Eric. Don't try to be like Amber. Don't try to be like Theresa. Be you and take advantage of that, because who's better at being you, and focus on those specific areas. And I think a lot of us come in trying to be the Tinas of the world. Tina is being Tina. So really niche down on what your individual superpower is that you already have before you even came into real estate. Now you just need to focus on that.
And you have to show up consistently every day. And I think so many people walk into this like, I want the freedom and I can make $1 million and have, if you're gonna do this at a high level, you're gonna work a lot of hours. And it's probably gonna be 24/7, especially at first if you're trying to build your business. You need to seek every opportunity you can. If you're a new agent, you should be in this office, because osmosis and the ability to learn from everybody else in here is gonna catapult you forward versus just coming to a class and learning, because you're gonna see it like in the real life flesh, and opportunities could come across your way. I started my business by just being in the office every day and like listening to the walls talk and hearing like, how do you convey bad information to a client with poise? and okay, this person has 20 listings, but they don't want to go show it. I would go show houses and get buyers. There are opportunities you're missing by not being in this office and not going to your top producers and asking, what can I do to help you in your business? What are the opportunities I can take off your plate that gives you experience? Because we're at probably the highest level learning place you could be, and it's at our fingertips. But it's putting that learning into action that's actually going to make you thrive and grow in your business.
Right, and on top of that, I would focus on building genuine relationships. You know, this is a people-centered industry, you know, built on trust. And if you're, you know, following up with clients, if you're staying in touch with your past clients, your sphere, you know, you will get business. It's providing exceptional service. That's what it is. And then your reputation will set you apart. And of course, you have to invest in personal development because it all goes together. So, you know the market trends, invest in yourself, and, you know, success will naturally happen.
Yep.
I think I totally agree with you, Theresa. I mean, for me, the most organic way to grow your business would be building and maintaining your relationships. And when I say relationships, it's not just your client, it's also your vendor partners. So when I talk about clients, it's, you know, if you are at a point in a transaction and if you strongly feel that this is not a good deal for my investor or this offer is not a best fit for my seller, just stop right there. Pause and just, you know, give your honest opinion.
Yes.
So your honesty and integrity will build the trust that your client is looking for. And that's the foundation of this business. You know, they will give you so many referrals. You know, once you have built that trust, you know, it will just organically multiply, right? And when I say maintain, I mean, we have categorized a list called gold clients. So what we do is whoever has given us multiple referrals or, you know, have bought through us multiple properties, we make sure we keep our schedule very light in December. We make sure to visit all these clients in person to wish them happy holidays. You sit with them, have a cup of tea, and, you know, talk to them about how did your year go, you know, what are your plans for next year. And guess what happens in January? We end up getting more referrals from them because we are there, we are maintaining that relationship, right? And similarly with the vendor partners, the lenders are extremely important in this business. You need, with the constant changes happening in the, you know, mortgage, you need to, and it's a teamwork. You are not just the only player, you know, it's, you need to, you know, go from start to finish. It's extremely important that you brainstorm, you sit down with them, and, you know, find out different ways to solve the problem. Like we all say, we are just not realtors, we are problem solvers, right? And it will, the market will change, you know, in 2 months, 3 months. So you just adapt to all those changes and, you know, go from there.
Love that. Thank you so much. Okay, so obviously you guys have all been in the business for longer, okay? So this is kind of a staged question, because a lot of times when we're talking to top producers, we're talking to where you are now. Most people in the room are not at your level. So to get to where you are, there had to be steps, right? So the question is, what has been the best lead generation sources for you kind of at different stages, like at the beginning versus kind of mid-journey versus now?
I'll go first. I've been in here the longest, maybe 20 years. I started, it was funny, I just got an email from somebody that I started with 20 years ago. And she said, I remembered you being the shy girl at the front desk at Allen Tate. And I started at Allen Tate. Back then we had phone duty and people like walked into the office to seek buyers and sellers. But I just showed up in the office every day, like I mentioned a minute ago, took every phone duty. If there was an agent that had a lead come in they didn't want to work with, I was like, sign me up. I did open houses every Saturday, every single Sunday. And I was just hungry for the business. I mean, I grinded, I sent letters out. I had Facebook when you had to have like a college email address to have Facebook. And I was like on Facebook promoting myself and people thought I was crazy. But that's what I did all day, every day. I didn't have the business. I sold 0 houses and just kept going. My second year, I sold 9 houses and then it just doubled and doubled over and over and over again. So in the beginning, like you do have to do the gritty stuff.
You do.
You can't expect that you're just gonna walk in and have the database and the sphere of influence that I've built for 20 years where the business just happens. Like you have to grind and it sucks I mean, my tax returns were negative, 4 years into the business. And I just didn't give up. I just kept going. And then you build your database and you build your social media influence and you show your success. And there's just something magical that happens with the universe. The more you share, the more that's going to be attracted to you. You love on your people. And then now we have, almost 1,700 past clients. We're now starting like a Facebook forever client list. We have a VIP list of clients. We have a VIP list of businesses. I create content with the businesses that are people that are in my sphere so I can pour into their business, allow my exposure to give their businesses exposure. So it's just you elevate over time. If you're a new agent, you don't always have to do what I'm doing to succeed because you haven't built the foundation yet. Like you're skipping the missing pieces. And a lot of your confidence and a lot of your knowledge is going to be built by doing those foundational elementary things. You do stuff that you love to do, because I'm here to tell you, unless you're super gritty and hard-headed like me, it's probably going to be something that if you don't love to do it, you're not going to keep doing it. So if you don't love picking up the phone and lead genning, which I've never loved to do, I've never called 100 people a day, it's not my cup of tea.
Right.
But I love having the mindset of like going out and blessing other people every day. So I just get up and look for opportunities to pour love, even a smile, a little note into people's life. And then you become top of mind awareness to them. Don't talk real estate. Don't call them and say, do you want to buy or sell a house? That is not what you're here to do. You're here to provide them value and build your energy field around you where everybody knows that you're going to provide them value, and then to the point that they seek it from you consistently.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think,
No, go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, for me, it's shaking hands and kissing babies. That's always been, that's my term. I stick with it. That's my thing. That's my jam. I came into real estate, and when I first came into real estate, I was transitioning from corporate America, and I've always been just in the community, right? That's just what I do at the different locations, so honestly, I've never picked up the phone and lead gen. I've never done it in my entire career because I'm always but that's not my jam. That might be yours, but it's not mine. So I'm always talking with folks and going from there, and I always focus on those folks who I know that I already have a relationship with too. I never have to bring up real estate because they already know I'm in real estate, because I'm always bringing up something about real estate, but I'm not asking them if they're buying or selling. I have a new agent who, brand new this year, she was the one who actually forced me to restart my team up because I was like, I don't want to do a team anymore. I'm gonna just be so I started my team back up, and like she hit the ground where she forced me to kind of bring back out that piece of me, which is great because in Bianca, she was like, and I talked to her, and Bianca is, hey, church every Sunday. She's she's Wednesday, she's at, Bible study. That's her jam. So I was like, hey, that's your jam. Let's focus on. And she was like, well, somebody wants me to list a church. I was like, no problem. I've listed a church. So we started focusing on that, and we ended up selling the church, double-sided. We ended up helping them buy another church. We ended up having another church come in. Now we're working, like I said, that's your people. Those are your people. That's your realm. And so, like, literally 4 or 5 churches within the last 3 months. So, but she's focusing on and that's what I would say for me, as from a new agent to right now. I know that's my bread and butter. Me, just going out to the events. I go to certain events because I want to help, or I'll sponsor something. They'll be like, oh, you wouldn't believe how many times a $300 sponsorship at one of the local, like we do a lot of, and Dave knows this, we do a lot of fraternities, sorority, so I support some of the events. They'll say, hey, $300 to have your face up here, and then you show up to the event, they give you a free ticket, and everyone just starts coming up to you because they're like, hey, I saw you on the screen, and they just, casual conversations. Some people don't even talk to me, but guess what? Hey, I saw you were at XYZ, and a lot of folks don't want to talk to you in public, but they know you're there, and they'll call you on the back end, and because they know I don't do a lot of posting on social media, which I need to get better at that, but some of the people don't want, like, they know if they come to me, like a couple of my clients have been very high-end clients, but they know it's not going to be all over either. So, you know, because I understand that they don't want everyone to know that, hey, I bought $1 million house, or I bought this, you know. So just adapt to your environment, know who your people are, and go from there. So.
Yeah. What might work for me may not work for you, and that's, I say try everything.
Yes.
When you become an agent, when I started the business, I was like, okay, oh my God, where do I begin? It's so overwhelming. I mean, you're learning, you're trying to, you know, how do you get business? So I sat down and I created a business plan, which I highly recommend, and have a goal, you know, and track your numbers. And I started with open houses, of course. I don't like making cold calls, so I didn't do that. I chose a community. I chose a community in my neighborhood that wasn't far from it. And then where I live, and you're on a budget when you just start, so I would recommend picking like 2 or 3 streets where you want to farm. And think about what you want to do to farm in those areas. Do you want to send postcards? I did. I knocked on doors, which I don't like doing, but I did it then. And I dropped things off, and I just kept doing it. I was consistent. I did it every month until I got that phone call. And then when I got that phone call, I made sure before I went, I knew what I was talking about. You have to educate yourself.
Correct.
You have to know, you know, that's just getting the appointment, and then you need to convert the appointment. And so it's knowing market trends, knowing the neighborhood, going in there, being confident, but yet coming from contribution or from a consultant point of view. So I did that, and as I started getting calls and getting business, I was expanding. So then 2 to 3 streets, you know, turned into half the neighborhood, and I would send postcards. I still do that now, 8 years later. I may have changed. Of course, you change your lead generation, but I still send postcards. And then what I did was I focused on, okay, so I closed, you know, I did this transaction in my neighborhood, and now I want to reduce. So I went on Nextdoor, and I created a business page on Nextdoor, which is free. And then I started having clients put reviews on Nextdoor about me. You can do that. You can't solicit, you'll get thrown off, but page and review. So now 8 years later, I have been the neighborhood favorite for 4 to 5 years. I have the most recommendations, reviews. Do I get calls through? Absolutely. So part of my business is through Nextdoor. And, but again, that's the phone call. You know, that means I have to still prepare myself. And then, you know, I still send postcards 8 years later, every 2 months. I got a listing last year. And of course, I always ask, how did you find my name? And he went over to the drawer and he pulled out my postcard. I mean, it does work. Or, you know, we'll say, hey, you sent a postcard to my friend, and, you know, she gave me your name. You know, I started a pie event when I just got into real estate. I mean, I didn't really have any clients. But I was like, okay, the clients that I have, I'm gonna, you know, give out pies, and then how can I make this, you know, how can I bring this on a larger scale? So I started focusing on who can I invite in my neighborhood. And so I was going through the tax records in my neighborhood and looking for people that were living in their houses 5 years or longer. And also that I knew, and I started inviting them. I didn't have their email, of course. I went on Facebook, I was stalking them, sending them the pie invite through there. Then I went on Nextdoor, finding there's a way on Nextdoor you could find their emails. I sent them through there, got responses, and I do this pie event now 8 years later. And how have I gotten business from there? Hi, Theresa, my friend gets a pie from you. We want to buy a house. Hey, Theresa, I get a pie from you, a neighbor. We want to sell our house. So it's like you have to try everything, and what works for you, just keep doing it. Be consistent.
So as a new agent, this is what I did work for me. So I was 17 years in the corporate world. So I'm really transitioning my career from being in the IT and the financial background, coming into real estate. So the first thing I had to do was let people know that I'm a realtor now. So as many messages, calls, or notifications in social media, WhatsApp statuses, whatever it would take, LinkedIn, to notify people. This is what I do, right? Now, again, people know you're not an experienced agent because you're just starting out. However, that's where we got started, like in terms of letting the neighbors know. So the first person who gave me an opportunity was to list their home, who lived right across from me. They said, Shikha, I understand you're a new agent, we're willing to give it a try. And I made sure that she was not disappointed. So I did my extra homework, extra steps in making sure that the home was ready. The other thing I did, again, I think Charity can speak to a lot of that as well, is being available to your community. Like EXP here, this is our, the access agent. Like, for example, just showing up for doing open houses. That's what I did as well for other agents, is just being available to them. What would you need to do for you? It was very uncomfortable because I started real estate as part-time. So all I had was weekends, but I was, again, really, really passionate about what I wanted to do. And it was like taking 2 full-time jobs because real estate cannot be part-time. So on the weekends, showing homes, doing whatever, even for tenants, I would just go and start showing. And rental market in New York is very different. So still would go in the snow, whatever it would take to go show homes. But at some point, these tenants were just becoming buyers. And just keeping yourself open, not thinking, oh, it's a tenant, or they're not interested. You don't know what would happen in their life or in the situation. And just giving yourself the opportunity of just doing those daily habits. It's like saying that you would want somebody who's ready. You want a fruit that is ripe. You may not get that. You may get a fruit that's not ripe and you need time for it to grow and then it becomes, but those are the leads. Just keep nurturing, keep going back to them and letting people know what you do.
Yeah.
I think that's how it started.
Do open houses and show houses for people. I mean, when I was showing houses 8 years ago, I didn't always get paid for it, now it's like, oh my gosh, are you paying me 50 for,
You did though, because you were paid in like the experience. And I think that's what we downgrade nowadays, is like that experience is worth millions of dollars.
It's
if you look at it like that.
Yep.
Like, to me, that was like, you pay to go to college.
Right. And you learn how to open up all these lock boxes, which
Correct.
can be very nerve-wracking if you're with your own client and
you perfect the skill of showing a house. You don't just open the door.
And you go in and you have to know what you're doing. Like if they say,
Yes.
what's the square footage of this house? You want to say 2,800 square feet. Oh, I don't know. Didn't the agent tell you? You need to know that.
Correct.
So my experience has been, at different stages of life throughout the real estate. The lead sources changes. When I started off, again, when you are getting a license, the perception you have, oh, I'm going to be $1 million agent, right? And every client of yours sees you like, you're making a lot of money until you get into the churn and, see how much work it takes. So I started off with Keller Williams, and they had a training called Bold, which was fabulous. I attended probably 5 or 6 times. So I was very open to, trying everything. So I pretty much did everything from, cold calling to SOI to open houses, door knocking, buying leads from Zillow, every possible thing. But over time, what we realized, and we do this as our, homework or, just a review at the end of the year to see what exactly is working for us. So we break it down to, okay, how many investors, how many buyers, what was the lead source, was it through Zillow, was it SOI, or was it a referral? It gives us a good idea, what exactly is working for you. And it may be different for everybody. You just need to find your strengths and also the things that are working for you, and it will be different for everyone.
I just want to add one more thing. In 2021, 2022, when it was a seller's market, we did a lot of door knocking, and it was very successful for us that year. We got at least 17 listings, just door knocking, right? Some number around that time. So, however, we tried it the year after when the interest rates changed. It wasn't the perfect source. We realized after doing just enough doors, so our ratio was 100 doors to maybe 1 listing appointment, right? So we would do 100 doors a day, minimum. Per person, we would do it, like whatever it takes to get us 1 listing appointment. Like you said, you have to be hungry for it. We realized it's not working anymore. sellers are not out there anymore. So you gotta pivot. You gotta make sure you review your efforts and say, is it something not working here? Let's discuss, like, am I doing the same number of doors, door knocking? If it's not working, what do I need to do now?
Right.
So you gotta understand that if it's not working, you have to be able to pivot quickly, find something different that would work. Maybe calls would be better now. But from changing of lead source, it does happen very frequent in our market because our market changes very frequently too.
Yeah.
Let me just I want to say one thing. Everything changes quickly.
Correct.
So the big
pivot.
piece is, again, we just had this huge NAR settlement thing, right?
Right.
And everybody was freaking out. Things change,
Yeah.
right? Like, no matter what, there's always a winner and a loser.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be determined to be the winner and work with the winners,
Correct.
right? You
Correct.
just have to know, like, you have to be mentally agile. You have to be willing to just figure it out.
Yeah.
So when you're new and you're in this learning curve all the time, you're like, God, when are we done learning? Never.
Right.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna constantly learn and grow, because things change.
Things change.
Regulations change. We have the TCPA that's coming up
Correct.
in January, which is gonna make cold calling and cold emailing exceptionally difficult
Correct.
and potentially super expensive. So what does that mean? Did any of these guys really focus on just cold calling?
No.
And most people don't. The majority of agents don't do cold calling.
Correct.
It's kind of like hail. Now, does it work? Yes. Is it consistent? Yes. Can you count on it? Yes. But there are so many ways to generate leads. It's just, and we're gonna talk about this, but like that, I just wanted to point, and first of all, these guys, the spreadsheets of these guys, chef's kiss. But it is about assessing and remember that we're talking about assessing and tracking and is this working? Maybe it worked for someone else, it doesn't work for me. Maybe it worked for me before, but things have changed. So just constantly allowing yourself time, because we can run like crazy people. So give yourself time to check in.
Yeah.
Daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, right?
And Charity, also, I mean, everything, like you said, is changing, right? In the industry, and also taking the world. So even if you take let's talk about politics real quick, right? Politics, we had an election, there's a victor. Whoever the victor is, no matter what election it is, no matter if you voted for him, her, or whatever, you have to adjust to whatever the regulations are coming or whatever the changes are coming. Don't get so emotionally attached to the outcome of who won or who didn't win that you then shoot yourself in the foot because of the new regulations that are coming. Period. Because we've got to operate within whatever the environment is, within whatever the time frame is. And I think that's one of the most important things that I learned early was if I didn't vote for whoever, okay, that's fine. But guess what? I immediately pivoted to find out, okay, where can I make this the biggest advantage for me to win, and especially when it's related to real estate.
Well, I think even you talk about in the year, we have different times of the year where we focus on different things, right?
Correct.
Generally, we have spring market.
Yes.
Q4 is a little bit more of like, let me review and
Yeah.
fix things and things that are broken. But sometimes, especially since COVID,
be busy.
Q4 has been one of the busier.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's no matter what, there's a time and a place.
Correct. And
And
adjusting to it
You just
is the
adjust. So when it's a buyer's market, who do you work with? Buyers.
Correct.
When it's a seller's market, who do you work with?
sellers.
What do I advise, what I would advise my buyer and what I would advise my
Correct.
seller in the same transaction would be
Totally different. We had the incident down in Fayetteville. We had where you had the BRAC movement a few years ago where they were closing some bases. Ooh, everybody was scared. Everybody was, but hey, in those areas, guess what? I marketed to those areas so I can get referrals for people coming to there's always going to be a change. So whatever, it's like interest. Everybody says most people say interest is bad, right? It's only bad if you're not earning it. Interest is neutral. So it just matters. You just have to be on that side and be alert of what's coming and pay attention. Every little stroke of the pen changes everything.
And it comes back to mindset, which Amber had said earlier, because if it's the straw that breaks your back, it's never really about that thing.
Correct.
It's about everything else that you're not managing correctly. You're not pouring into yourself. You're constantly giving out to other people. We tend to do this when you get busy. So self-care can feel selfish, especially if you're running and ripping and it's never enough and I gotta do more, you know, like you can tell yourself it's 10 o'clock at night, it's okay to stop working.
You can go to sleep.
I think that's, you don't realize when you first started this business that if you don't keep yourself spiritually prayed up every day or whatever you believe in, and you're not pouring into yourself mentally every day, you're just going to react to all the emotions that come to you. And I don't think we preach it enough. There's so much emotion. Your job is not to jump in their emotional train wreck.
Nope.
Your job is to stay neutral.
That's right.
And to get them to where they want to go. But you have to have the confidence and the spiritual awareness and being to do that, or you're just going to react to every single emotion that comes to you. And it is, you have to invest in yourself. You have to invest into your mindset. You have to invest into your knowledge. Don't ever get so rigid in the business. I feel like I'm somewhat good at always being self-aware, but you know, you can get comfortable. When you get successful, you can get comfortable and you can stop analyzing like what got me here, what's working, what's bringing me joy in this season. And I was an agent that worked from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. for many, many years until I got married and had kids. And then I said, okay, I still want my business to stay here, but I don't want my life to look like this anymore, or it's going to be horrible. You have to have that self-awareness that you're going to have to give up, but you're going to grow and gain by leveraging certain things off of your plate. And your business is going to be a sole reflection of how much you invest in yourself. And some of that investment in yourself is sitting still and being quiet enough to say what's working, what's not working, what's bringing me joy and energy versus what's draining me. Because if you stay in that joyful, enlightened energy inside of you, you're going to produce at a much higher level. Versus if you do this draining activity, you're not going to want to do it. You're going to bring a bad attitude to the table or not the right information to somebody. You're going to go home and you're not going to be the greatest spouse or the greatest mom. And that's no way to live. And this business can do it to you if you're not self-aware. You can go home and just be like, blah. And why? Does success mean anything if you lose your family at the cost of it? Or you lose your health? Or you just lose the, you know, being to even just be a person. You know, and this business can do it if you do not stay centered and protect yourself and have self-awareness. So you do have to create a daily ritual of getting yourself back to center. Am I who I want to be today? Bring the opportunities across my way that align with who it is I'm trying to be, and then go out and do it. If you just get up every day hitting the ground running, that's what life's going to look like. It's going to be a tornado around you quickly.
And just to add on to that, this business comes with a lot of rejection, and so it can become very unmotivating. And so that's why you have to invest in personal development, so you stay motivated.
Keep going.
And you keep going, because it's a business. You know, you can't. We take things personal. And at times you just can't. You know, you have
what's meant for you is meant for you.
Right, and it's just like when I go on a listing appointment and I'm talking about, well, you have to, you know, clear the clutter out, you have to paint, you have to do this. Well, they're taking it personal, and I always like to explain to them, this is just business. That's what it is. You know, it's business, and I'm just helping you get the most money, or what, you know, whatever the conversation leads into. But it's all about personal development, because you're going to deal with every personality, and you're going to
and ego.
And you do have to build the confidence to go up against it,
and keep going up against it. Absolutely.
Got to protect yourself.
You're going to limit yourself, your view of the world and what's possible for you.
Correct.
Literally anything is possible. All possibilities exist currently. But we put ourselves in a bubble of what we can visualize, both of what's possible in general and then what's possible for us based on our worth, how we feel about ourselves. Do I deserve to make money? What am I going to even do with that money when I get it? It's not even real, it's fake. So it's a lot of personal development. The hard part is the personal development.
Yeah.
The hard part is not the real estate. The hard part is running the business. And you have to become the person, then you get successful.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think, well, once I have the money, I'll become the person. It's the opposite. But that should be good news, because who's in control of who you become?
You.
Right. And
See, your future is really literally in the daily decisions that you make. If you're not gonna be motivated, I'll tell you on Monday, coming back to everything, I'm not motivated, but it's on my calendar and I'm disciplined, you're not gonna feel like it. And it's in those moments when you don't feel like it and you still do it, that's the becoming.
right.
That's the becoming the person that deserves the success.
Because you won the battle within yourself, and then the other
Yep.
wins show up.
Right.
And that's where,
And then you attract,
Mm-hmm.
you become attractive, and it feels easy. And guess what? It can be easy.
Right, and what's so rewarding too when you're working with a client is when you get to the closing table and you know you've done your job, and focus on your reviews too. So that's how you build your, look and see what clients are saying about you. Oh, her communication. Oh, she's educated. Oh, she's this. And that's how you build your brand, from your reviews, and just keep doing it.
It's important to notice that, and I want you guys to understand, there's never a finish line here,
no.
No.
right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's a really important
Yeah.
statement to make, because you feel like when you're at the beginning, like, oh my gosh, am I ever gonna stop feeling like this? Yes, it will start to click and it'll start to feel easier, but it's not a finish. You gotta take a shower every day, do you know what I mean? Like, it's something you have to
It's a
continue
lifestyle.
to do. And it's never gonna be perfect, and
No.
you're always gonna do more and be better, right? That's what brought you here. That's what brought you to entrepreneurship, because you're an overachiever and you want a better life and you're trying to be in the 1% of people who could do this. It's meant to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everybody could do it, right? But it's knowing what should I be doing, and then surrounding yourself with people who can show you the path beyond what you've seen, which is why
Correct.
it's important really to plug into to people who've been there.
Agreed.
I would just want to add one more thing. It is a way of life. So if
Yeah.
you're not enjoying what you're doing, maybe you focus on your day to first do what's important to you. If you start your day of what is important to you, what your life, because this is life. There's no
Yep.
life is going to come after you become a realtor. Life is not going to happen after you got the first closing, or
Right.
life will happen after you got your first listing. There's no such thing. This is it. I mean, there's no other time around it, right? So
Right.
stopping now and just saying, what's important to me and how would I want to run my day? And what Charity is talking about is, imagine yourself doing things the way you would want your life to happen first, and then replaying it. Right now, we're just running on the life, we're just living life as it happens. But we will never get to what you really want if you don't take the time to invest in yourself and actually create that version of you and then live that version of you. I think that's the big
Man.
difference.
And that's
See,
where
look,
the
she
peace
is she
comes.
going into that you with the peace, you with the we're right back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization.
Yeah.
And that's where we really end up going back to, because it's going to be the same thing. Last year, oh, hey, I made 400,000. Great. This year, I'm not making 400,000. And understanding that balance too, because some years you may make that 400,000, 500, 600,000. And some years the market might dictate where you're only making 100,000. Plan for that. Because if not, what happens is you get used to 400, 500, 600, 700,000, and then all of a sudden you have $100,000 a year, and
I
the
think
sky's
that's where
falling.
you gotta adjust your thinking, though.
Yes.
You had that $100,000 year because you weren't paying attention.
Correct. That's true. That's
Like,
very
I don't
true.
go backwards, I
No.
only go forwards. That's like huge with me, because I pay attention.
Pay
And if
attention.
I realize it's gonna take me working 2 to 3 times as much
Much,
to
then
get
you
to
go
that
from there.
point, I do that.
Right, 'cause
Or
then
if
you assess,
this isn't
Correct.
what's going on?
working,
Why is this not
Yes.
working?
yeah. And I think we have to develop a system, and if nobody was on my masterclass on Monday, you have to develop a system where you're paying attention to stuff. We had a downline, team come into us, for an event in December, and she was like, I just looked at our P&Ls and holy crap, I'm like, you're just now, it's December. You run a team and you're responsible for other people, and you're just
Yeah.
now looking at your P&L. Like, you need to, even as an individual agent, you need to look at your P&L every single month, look at what's working, look at what's not working, and adjust and pivot correctly. Or otherwise you will go from 500 to 100. But you don't want to do that. You don't want to wait to the year end for you to see your fluctuation in your income. You need to see it every single month and then pivot accordingly and reflect at the end of every month, or that we do at the end of every week. What worked, what didn't work, what do I need to do more of? Because if you do this roller coaster of your income,
that will be,
it does not feel
it's
good.
over.
Yeah.
Your exterior life is a reflection of what's happening.
Correct.
Your business does not exist anywhere in the world except
It's
between you.
recorded.
Right, right.
It's not real.
Make sure to let them know.
Oh, yeah.
The reality is you.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
And so when you take that radical responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
that it's my fault,
Yep.
cool, now I can fix it. Because if everything is everybody else's fault,
Mm-hmm.
you also don't get to take credit when things go well, because that's their fault too.
Correct.
Now you're out of control, you have no control of your life, so I think one of the things that you said was create. And you're pushing your life, you're planning your life, you're making things happen, that's where the confidence comes from. I am in control of my life.
Correct.
Nobody else is in control.
And one thing I used to say, because I started in this market like in 08 and 09, where you would work with people and not make any money. I made no money. The market's in your mind. There's
It is.
always somebody that wants to buy or sell a house, and you just need to go seek those opportunities and block out the interest rates, block out the election, block out the
Everything.
world. Don't even watch the news.
Right. And
Keep good things around you, and you'll attract good things.
Yeah.
It's when you talk to an agent that's doom and gloom, or you
Yep.
turn on the news, or you get
it
on
brings it down.
Facebook, that brings your energy down. That brings your mindset down, and all of a sudden you're operating in fear versus operating in faith, and you're in total control of going out and finding somebody that wants to buy or sell a house today.
That's true.
Block everything else out.
Right. I mean, even in 2022, when interest rates went from what, like 3 to 7 percent, it was like agents were saying, "Oh, there's no business out there. The interest rates, nobody wants to buy a house." Well, people still want to buy a house. It was
People have to buy a house.
they have to buy a house or sell a house, you know,
Correct.
and so you just had, during that time, I just stayed consistent, you know, I just kept doing what I do all the time. Adapting, of course, to the market trends and knowing what's going on, because when you're sitting in front of someone and, you know, the market changes, they want to know what's happened
Correct.
in this market, and you need to be able to, you need to be prepared to talk about that. And that's how they gain, you know, they gain trust.
Well, the
Yeah.
market
And-
shifts, that's called. If there's high interest rates, what's gonna happen? You're gonna have to learn how to do a rate buy down.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Correct.
learn how to get seller contributions.
That's right.
But will sellers be open to it? Yes, because otherwise their house is not gonna sell.
Exactly.
So you have to really, the market will respond as
Education.
long as you know how to fix the
Fix it.
problem.
That's right.
Get around the people who know how to fix the problems. If you don't know what a rate buy down is, permanent
Correct.
versus 2-1 or 3-2-1, and what are the potential consequences, that you need to talk to a lender.
That's right.
You have to know the money. This is a financial
Everything
transaction.
comes down to the
Always.
money in our business.
Yes.
Everybody would buy a house if they could afford it.
Right.
Correct.
I would buy $1 million house if my payment was $1,000 a month.
Correct.
So no one cares about the price of the house.
That's right.
All
care
they
about
care
the-
about is the monthly payment.
That's right.
So you have to learn how to have those conversations.
And
with
shift that
people
mindset.
To shift theirs. But to your point, if you're in negative doom gloom as
Correct.
possible, I mean, it's good for me because I'm just gonna take your clients.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? If you are an opportunist, you're gonna say, great, I love when people get,
Correct.
I don't love when people to get discouraged, but my opportunity will never go away.
Correct.
Because even as I'm doing lead generation, whatever I'm doing, there are people who need to buy and sell, and there are people who love me, but they're just not motivated to buy or sell it, and that's okay.
Correct.
You might have to do a little bit more, but it's all about, again, that mental
That mental,
agility.
and then also looking out for opportunities too. As a new agent, opportunities are going to drop in your lap when it comes to. Don't think you have to pass it to an investor. Sometimes, if someone is in trouble in a neighborhood or in a home that you know, and they want to, hey, look, I got a pre-foreclosure coming. I can't pay my, talk about that opportunity first, because that opportunity could be one where, hey, you're able to help them out of the situation they're in and also have a financial gain for yourself. A lot of new agents, and I've seen this is the number one
I
mistake
was
most agents.
1,000% guilty of making everybody else millions of dollars.
There we
for a
go.
very
Look,
long time.
she's preaching to it, because you used to do
Yeah,
what?
I did it. My investors, I fed deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead
and I
of
was
what?
just looking after myself because I was worried about the commission check versus the wealth building factor.
There you go. See, that part right there.
Yeah,
You gotta be at a
self-awareness
place
I did
in
not have
life.
in that aspect
Yeah.
early
Talk
on.
about Maslow's hierarchy, if we're at a point where we're not secure in being able to eat,
Correct.
Correct,
self-actualization doesn't matter,
correct.
right? So you have to know where you are.
Yeah.
And so sometimes when you're like, oh,
You
I
gotta
made
get real
$400,000, you're like,
Face
what?
your truth.
I'd like to sell one, please,
Mhm.
right? Like, so this
Yeah.
is so far ahead,
Correct.
it feels impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And when people say, how are you successful? And they think that you're joking when when you say mindset.
It really is.
That's
It's
the
1,000%
basics of
foundation of it all.
everything. And it seems super woo-woo.
Hey, it may be she, frou, whatever you guys want to call it, but mindset
real
is
life.
where it's real life.
You gotta do the work,
And
for
and
sure.
you've got to do the work, but also how you walk into a room with your confidence. People
Your
always say
energy.
your energy,
introduces
everything else.
yourself.
That shows you, because if you walk in and you have low energy and if you don't have confidence in yourself, do you think that client is going to hire you? No way. You walk in, and here's the thing, through osmosis, you know a ton of us. I always tell, and I'll use Bianca again as an example. She was like, well, Mr. Eric, she calls me Mr. Eric. That's the weirdest thing. But anyway, but I always, because she's a Southern girl, but what I tell her is this. I said, whenever you're having a conversation, you're newer, less than a year in the business, you just say, well, you know what? Let me check with my partner. Don't call me your team lead. Just say your partner. We want to check a few things, because they're going to get online and they're going to search me. Then that's going to instantly validate you. So you guys have whoever your sponsor is, or someone in here. Look, they've been in the business for a while. Just tell them, hey, I'm going to use you as an example of that's my partner. We collaborate, because they are collaborating with you. If you have an issue, who's the first person you typically going to call? Your sponsor. That's the way it goes. So use that to your advantage, because a lot of times agents aren't successful for one reason and one reason only. They don't feel like they have the support and the confidence. If you know someone is saying, hey, no matter what the question is, I got you covered. That's what I told Bianca. I said, I don't even care what the question is. I got enough experience. I know it all. No matter what it is, just tell them, yep, we'll find a solution for you. And then we circle back and have a conversation. Now, all of a sudden, it takes all that load off of you thinking you have to be perfect when you're a newer agent or new to the business.
Everything's figure-outable in our world, too.
Everything.
And I think where I see so many new agents fail is they feel like they have to know it all.
No.
And that they're gonna go to real estate jail, and then they get in such a rigid,
Yes.
that they just don't let themselves be.
Fear
And
causes hesitation, and hesitation causes your worst fears to come true.
Yeah, and you just need to get into action.
You will
Get into
make
action.
mistakes, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
You will
But
make
it's figure-outable.
mistakes.
Nobody's
Yes.
gonna die.
We'll
You
fix
will
it.
learn from them, you will change things.
Yeah.
Look, I done bought refrigerators. I done
Yeah.
bought home warranties. That's what I did back in my early days. Whenever I made a mistake and I didn't have, guess what?
Furnaces.
The furnaces, look, we all have those same stories where
It's a business write-off. It's gonna cost you about half of what it really did. And that's how you need to look at it.
that's
and
how you
move
have to
on.
look at it. And guess what?
Don't
That
let it
is
steal
one of
your
the,
joy.
like you said, the experience. That's the
Yeah.
most education you will have. When you
Yeah.
have to buy a refrigerator, I guarantee, never in a contract, that was in my first year, never made that mistake ever again.
But don't sit in those disappointments.
Correct.
And I think
Cry
I've
about it
seen
for a
newer
minute and move
agents
on.
sit
It
in
is
it,
what it
and then
is.
it like ruins.
They
They
stoop.
don't. They
What it
miss
is
opportunities.
Everyone will buy a refrigerator once in their
Yeah.
life.
I knew that I wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Right.
even if you're calling to not get emotionally attached.
No.
Anyways,
No.
No.
People just think of it as somebody's just having a bad day.
That's
Do
it.
not know that person. And one thing more to add, I mean, I feel Facebook is such an excellent platform for anybody, no matter when you're starting off.
Mm-hmm.
You have all your friends, family there, and even if they are liking, not liking, commenting, loving your post, they are very well noticing.
Yeah, they're watching.
Success attracts everybody. So, even if you are a solo agent, promote a team listing. Do something.
Mm-hmm.
Put some content. And we have AI, generate
Just-
some
yeah.
content and just be out there, right? So, and it really helps.
And you're exactly right. Like, just use a newer agent. And I'll go back to, look, my little Bianca. Look, she actually promoted this. It was a big listing that came on the market, a $4 million church. She posted it on there. Of course, she gave a little credit at the end.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was her listing.
Yeah.
She got 19 leads off of that one post.
Perception's reality, and
Perception
whatever
is
perception
reality.
you put out there on social media,
That's right.
they think you're busy and that you
You're
got
busy
$4
and you
million,
got it,
and that's what you want.
You want. Yep.
Don't be afraid to do that.
Exactly.
And I have to share my personal experience and do not get intimidated by anybody.
No.
Yeah.
Period. I got my license in 2017 October. I was told that there are many discounted agents in the market and
Ah.
the community. And you know what, in order to survive, you will have to probably give your 70% commission back to them in order to get a deal. And I was like, oh, I did not do that when I was buying the home.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's good to know. So I had my first deal in December for a friend, full commission, no conversation about discount whatsoever. I moved to Bella Casa neighborhood where I live, and in 2017 I got my license, and I thought I would just introduce myself to the neighbors, and I made some brownies, and I knocked the first door. My next door neighbor, he still is Mike Walden.
Yep.
I knocked his door, and I'm introducing myself, saying, you know, and I met Keller Williams at that point in time, very motivated, and I was like, you know what, I'm your neighbor, good to meet you, here's some brownies, and you know what, I'm a realtor. And I'm like very confident, I'm a realtor, you know, if you need anything, you know, just let me know. And he smiled at me, and he is very experienced. He came back to me with his business card and saying, nice to meet you, Neha, and this is my business card, and I'm a realtor too, good to meet you. But it did not impact me
Good.
at all. I could have, you know, had that mindset, oh shoot, he's an experienced neighborhood, I probably will not get any leads in Bella Casa. But I got my first listing spring 2018 in
go.
Bella Casa
There you
that
go.
I sold within 30 days. So do not let anybody say anything, you know,
That's
you
right.
just be confident in what you're doing, and you know,
There's
that's
enough
it.
business.
There's
to
enough
go
business
around.
for everyone.
And you will always have
Yeah, I think what's
competition in your neighborhood.
What Neha's also trying to say is, irrespective of what your mind is telling you to do or
Yes.
not
Sure.
do, just ignore it.
Yep.
Do it nevertheless.
Do it.
Do it afraid, do it whatever it does take, just do it.
Yes.
And I think it goes back into saying a lot of times with our thoughts, we get overwhelmed, we make up stories, we make up our own mind of why we want to do it or not do it.
Yep.
To survive in this business, just let those thoughts happen and just continue doing whatever needs to happen. Just like, it's like, you know, a movie running in the background, let it run. Let that noise happen, let the
That's right.
chatter happen. Just do what needs to be done in terms of getting your business through.
And that's where peace comes from.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Peace,
there's a,
to bring it back full circle to what we were talking about. Peace is no matter what happens, I'm safe.
That's right.
And so for many of us, maybe growing up, you weren't safe. And,
Correct.
you know, like you have some trauma, like, I mean, most of it's the joke, it's the trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
trauma.
it's the
But
trauma
what-
for me.
It's the trauma
it
for
is a
me.
trauma. I mean,
Yep.
that's a real true thing.
It is.
So again, that's that personal development to be able to say, I am safe.
Mhm.
I'm not in that situation, and that no matter what happens, I can trust in myself to
Correct.
be able to figure it out. And I am surrounded by people, and I know who to go to in any situation. I joke, like, a contract is there because somebody tried it. Every single line in a contract is because there's a lawsuit about it,
Yes.
right? Every single, that's
Yes.
why it's there,
That's why it's
right?
there.
So there's nothing that's ever gonna happen that somebody can't figure. You're not gonna come across anything that one of us hasn't figured out.
Yep.
And guess what? If we don't know, we're gonna talk to it. Like, you
We
don't
know
have
somebody.
to know everything. And the more that you know, the more you realize you actually don't know,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's good not to know everything.
That's right.
You learn something new on every transaction, no matter how
And no one
many
wants
years
you to
you've been
know.
in the
They just
business.
want you to be able to find it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
figure it
And
out.
can you
You
find
gotta
it?
figure
Are
it
you
out.
good at
Yeah.
that? Then have confidence
Correct.
in
To the
that.
finish
You don't
line.
have to know everything.
Correct.
Know how to say, that's a really good question. I think I know the answer, but they
But
just changed
let me
rules.
just check on a
Let
few
me
things.
check and I'll
There
get
you
back
go.
to you. It's the
That-
first thing I teach new agents.
That's the
very first
catch-all.
phrase. Yeah. Don't answer if you don't know. 'Cause
That's right.
I can't pull you out of real estate jail. Like,
Correct.
it's way hard to pull you back from something that's not true.
Correct.
Then give yourself some space. You don't have to be
Yep.
Polly Pocket with your hand
No.
in the air every second. Like, they don't need you to answer if you're
Nope.
not sure.
And the number one thing that was taught to me as a new agent was be the source of the source, but never the source. Be the source of the source, but never the source.
Yeah.
That is the easiest way to do it.
And also, I'm just thinking of lead generation, do rentals. So if you know anyone who's looking for a rental, as a new agent, jump on that, because you'll stay in touch with them and ultimately they'll end up purchasing. a year later, and that's what happened to me. When I was a new agent, I was like, when people called the desk at Keller Williams, looking for a rental, they were like, who wants to do a rental? This is my hand all the time. And I have wonderful relationships from doing rentals.
Well, you're signaling
know.
to the universe that you're open for business.
Mhm.
Correct.
That I'm looking for opportunity, I'm open for work to come to me.
They will
You're
all
starting
buy
to-
at some point.
Success breeds
Yeah.
success. Activity breeds activity. Because all it does is it gets you in a higher
does.
vibration and energy that you
Mhm.
start now attracting
Mhm.
positive things to you.
And that's one of the things Theresa, she talked about rentals. Guys, what's one of the highest rentals in this? We live in a neighborhood that has what? In this community, high rent. So guess what? Most people are gonna get tired of it going up every year.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna wanna do? Buy.
Right.
So if I was a new agent, these 17, 2,000, 2,500 $2,500 a month rentals, oh, I'm on them like hotcakes. That's where I would focus my energy to start.
Postcards.
Postcards, because guess what? They want the amenities, but after a while, when you start having a financial conversation with someone paying $2,500 or $3,000 a month for rent, and you start saying that's $36,000, or whatever that amount is per year, and then they start breaking it down, especially a lot of our younger professionals who are in the area who aren't married, they don't have kids, so they have no what? Write-offs. So that home becomes that write-off. I mean, when you start really talking, because I remember when I was at IBM, when you're a young professional, you don't have any of those things. You're just, hey, I'm making money, but Uncle Sam is slaughtering you.
We're also shifting into a market where like buyers should start to be your focus a little bit more, especially
Yes.
ones that are renting. And as a newer agent, like I didn't want the listings because I sat on the market for a significant period of time, and then there was a cost associated with them. So I think a lot of people come in like, I want listings. Well, don't we all at first?
Yes.
Like, pay your dues and work with buyers because you're going to learn so much knowledge and
You are.
experience. But right now we're entering into a market where you can start to make income quicker than the listings.
So back in, and you know this, back in 08, 09,
Yeah.
look, I would take a buyer. I was 80-20.
And you wanted to be then.
And you wanted to be then, because guess what? They came in, I got them closed, and it was 25 days, and I was turn and burn,
Yeah.
turn and burn,
Yep.
turn and burn.
But you're also building your future listing business, and
Correct.
that's really how you need to look at it. Like you're investing
Absolutely.
in your future by working with buyers.
So working with buyers also helps you to understand those are your clients when you come to the listing site.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
how are buyers looking at your properties? If you're selling your properties, like what conversations did you have with buyers? So that
Yeah.
gives you an insight when you're talking to your sellers as a listing agent. Oh, I work with buyers a lot, and given the current market, this is what they're expecting.
Yeah.
Closing cost. Because
Yeah.
I tell my buyers this closing cost is on the
Correct.
table, given the interest rates are high, you can bring down. By working with the sellers, you're able to bring that conversation to the table.
Correct.
So you understand that you are able to, don't say that this is only niche you would want to do. At this time, be hungry.
Be hungry, yeah.
And just go
Yes.
for whatever, open yourself to any opportunities and be hungry.
Yeah.
Wherever it is.
And listings are expensive too.
They are.
Measurements, photos, videography.
It's a lot of upfront costs.
Stage, everything's
A lot of
upfront. And if
upfront.
you don't have it, that's a
And
problem.
if you
So-
don't have the confidence to keep that seller in the
Yeah.
market
Correct.
right now
And you
and
need to be a
know
good
the system to follow up with them, and
Correct.
it's
Well,
it's
you need to be good at sales.
yeah.
I mean,
Sellers want people who are good at sales to
Correct.
sell their house.
right.
So you've got to walk in with confidence in the
That's
Yes.
where your
and all
sales
that kind of
skills
stuff.
come
Yeah.
in
And
with
strategies.
listings
How-
and
how-
strategies.
And strategies, yeah, about,
If this doesn't work, what's the next
What's
option?
next?
What's
For
the next
sure.
option? If this doesn't work, what's next? So you gotta be upfront and do your homework 10 steps ahead.
Correct.
Know the
We'll try this,
expectations.
2 weeks this doesn't work, we'll try this.
Correct.
And you're still gonna get that phone call. I didn't get any showings, I don't have this much, I only have 5, I only have 4, it's been up
Yes.
for 2 weeks, but you've got to know how to react to
correct.
that.
Now, you heard what she said, only been up for 2 weeks. See, you guys all came in the market where it's only
Yeah,
up for 2 weeks.
2 weeks was
I-
like a
2 weeks
fire
was,
sale
man,
back
let me
in
tell
the
you,
day.
look, we're
was
talking
like-
about 6 months, and we were
Has
like, oh,
anybody did a listing renewal?
yeah, right. No, has anybody had a listing that had a birthday? Look, how about
Yeah.
that? So, that, like, you guys are laughing, but look,
That was
they
the
used to have,
reality
that was
back
the
in the
reality.
day.
They had a lot of birthdays back then,
Yeah.
you know?
Those are still sales skills, by the way.
Yes.
Communication is setting expectations,
Yes.
being able to to have hard conversations. Like I said, there's a solution to everything. That
Solution.
doesn't mean everybody's gonna like the solution.
No.
to
Yeah.
everything.
Correct.
You need to be able to have hard conversations.
Yes.
But you need to have prepared people for those hard conversations in advance.
Ahead of time.
You can't go in all happy, smiley,
No.
Yeah, there's
and
an
then
art.
flip the switch.
There's an
Correct.
art of keeping people in the game, but you also
Mhm.
have to know like what game are we playing right
Yeah.
now,
Correct.
Yeah.
and know how to communicate it, and know what it looks like for the seller
Yes.
and the buyer, and then also what's the game coming,
Right.
Yes.
so they're not blindsided by it.
In the games that are coming, you really want to pay attention, and that's why I was saying, make sure you pay attention to whatever national changes are being made with real estate or incentives, deals, whatever. I remember when we were coming out of the Great Recession, and the number one thing was the $8,000 tax credit, right? Best thing since sliced bread for those of us who were in the market at the time, especially if you were in a military market, because I got all the closing costs paid for by the seller.
Yeah.
I got, they 100% down payment. They were 100%. I gave them, they put down $2,000 earnest money. They got that back and an $8,000 tax credit. So if you didn't buy a house during that time, I was telling them, if you don't buy a house, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. You're leaving money on the table. But
And if you
changing.
are working with sellers at a high level, you do need to watch, especially this last year, the market in what they're competing with. Like if you're $1 million listing, you need to be looking at what's happening in the $1 million market, because what's happening at different markets is different.
Yes.
And you just also need to pay attention, like weekly. I look at how many new listings, how many new pendings,
Correct.
how many expireds right now,
And
how
different
many
price
back
points.
on
And the different
market.
price points, right?
Because that's the information you take to your sellers
Right.
that paints the picture of this is the game we're playing.
Correct.
And all
Sold
that's
comps
easy.
is just the first step.
For
Mhm.
sure.
Correct.
The
That's
house
just
sold
one step.
yesterday, like closed,
Yeah.
it went under contract at least 30 days ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
The market today is very different.
For
than the
sure.
market for 30
And
days
that's a
ago.
great way to keep them,
Right.
showing them the numbers. And because data is one thing, your
gotta look
feelings,
at
you got to look at everything.
Market price now.
Correct.
Because market price, to be clear, is not the same as comps price.
Correct.
It's
And you're-
what people are
yeah.
willing to pay. Because in
Right.
COVID, the
Yeah.
comps price was here, what people are willing to pay is
50,000,
Right.
60,000,
right now, I have
100,000
people
over.
saying, oh, it's priced correctly, it's not selling, it's not priced correctly. Because the market says that, well, to a bank, this house is worth this based on
Correct.
past closed comps. We are in a declining market, which means the market price, where it's going to sell,
Correct.
is not here. So you have to know these things and be able to talk about stats as a story.
And
Tell
you,
the story.
right, and you'll go in with a list price range. I do a range. and I'll go in with one price.
Let them pick.
And then
They're going to take the high
then
end
you
all
may
the
be up
time.
against someone who is so far out of that range.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, how do we meet here in the middle?
Yeah.
And you have to be prepared for all that. So listings are a lot of work.
Yeah.
They're wonderful. You will become a listing agent, but work with buyers when you're a
Correct.
new agent.
Because you got to be skilled enough to have the conversation where
Mm-hmm.
the seller comes to you and says, well, I want to make X amount of money, and you're looking at them like, and they start trying to talk about your commission, right? And the first thing, and you have to turn the calculator around and say, hey, put down 0 commission, and you're still not going to make what the other agent that you brought in here. Now, we list here, we get here, and you have to be able to explain that, because for some reason, they think your commission is negotiable, and they also think your commission is taken away from, where you could actually list and sell the home. So you got to be able to defend that. A lot of agents are very fearful of defending their value
Because they don't feel they have it.
because they don't feel they have it.
You need to gain experience.
You need
though,
to gain
have that
experience because you got to have that conversation.
You
And
do.
sometimes you got to know when, hey, I fired a couple sellers because they weren't doing, you got to, when you have that confidence to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I don't think it's working
It's
out.
not just having confidence, it's having the business.
Correct.
If you don't have leads going on,
If you don't have the
if I
business,
don't have
you,
another appointment tomorrow, it's
you're
gonna
gonna-
be real hard to turn down that business.
that's
I
true.
mean,
But if you know that I'm just gonna get back on the
Correct.
stick and I'm gonna find more opportunity,
Then I'm okay.
you get to choose
Who you decide to work with.
and then you have a happy life.
Correct.
Happier, right, than giving up.
Peace.
Peace. Because that's
to
the,
the
oh,
peace.
Lord have mercy, yes.
I mean, my commission is negotiable when I want it to be.
Right, of course it is.
That's it,
Yeah.
when I want it to
Right.
be.
Yeah.
For sure, we all, and if
Oh, yeah.
anybody tries to tell you that they don't reduce their commission, they are lying to
Yeah.
you.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Commission
Or-
is negotiable,
or-
for sure.
And she said, reduce your commission. There were a couple transactions that were harder where I raised my commission too.
Yeah.
So don't get caught in this, it's only 3.6 or 3% or 2.5 or whatever. This past year,
Right.
you know, depending on the individual situation, because NAR just made it all a reality for me, you know? So some of them have been where I've charged 8% was the highest I've charged on the listing.
Right.
So think about that.
Right.
Know your value, know how hard you're gonna have to work for something, and go from there. So,
I think if I can comment on that, on the reverse side, making the decision when you choose to reduce your commission or do something creative is important. And it actually shows that you're smart, because it's not always about the money as well. And further, when you are making paychecks, you can be a little bit more flexible.
correct.
An example of that is if I know a building that I'm trying to get into, a condo building or a neighborhood I'm trying to launch into or something like that.
Yeah.
If you can get a couple knocked down in that neighborhood or in that building, your
You can
name
dominate.
recognition starts to improve.
Yeah.
And paying the price up front may actually pay off in the long run. So
This is
there's
why,
just different
like,
ways that you
stores
have to
sales,
look at it.
right? That's
Right.
why stores do giveaways, guys. We are not business. We're not different. We're a business.
Correct.
And you
Right.
do have to pay to play, and that's the paying to
Yeah,
play.
that's the
Like,
paying to play.
That's a great
Absolutely.
wisdom thing to
Right.
learn early on in your
But being
business.
able to do that intentionally,
For
I think,
sure.
is the conversation.
Correct.
Most
And,
definitely.
you know, I say this, if I had a check with Eric's name on it for $10,000, you think I'd have a problem calling Eric to give him his check for $10,000? I would find his number, go to Forewarn, find his address, and drive to his house and give him the $10,000 check. Because
Yeah.
I feel like I have something of value to give to Eric.
Correct. And you heard what she said, right? I hope you guys are all using Forewarn. That's the most valuable tool they've released to us in the last probably 10 years. If you're not using Forewarn, I see glazed eyes. Everybody knows what Forewarn is. Do you use Forewarn? I use it for everything and everybody. I'm just let y'all know ahead of time. So,
If you don't feel that value, and you may not have the same value if you're.
Correct.
Right? You don't. The better you are at something, the more you get to charge.
Yeah,
Correct.
I'll just tell you a little bit, not too much, I can't go into it, but talking about Forewarn.
oh.
Monica and I partnered on a listing last year before we looked at Forewarn.
Oh, Lord.
So we had already signed the listing agreement, and then we saw something on Forewarn and everywhere else, and we couldn't say a word.
Right. So those are things that you really have to know who you're in business with. And Forewarn, and it tells it all. I'm gonna just be honest. You know, if someone calls you out of the blue and that's just, oh yeah, and you think, oh, well, this is a $4 million client. And then all of a sudden you look and you see that yellow light up.
Right, if we looked at it prior to, you know,
You
getting.
probably wouldn't have done it.
We wouldn't have done it, we wouldn't, it was bad.
It was bad. And knowledge is key, like Charity has preached to us left and right. So, but we've been doing all the talking.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's let these ladies,
Yeah.
you guys
Yeah, oh,
wanna
yes,
give
yes.
one last piece of advice, because don't let us talk over.
Yeah,
you.
we're-
Or you will.
I just want to add to what we were talking originally about leads. We can all get a lot of leads. That's great. The conversion needs to happen where every day you find at least 5 people that you've been talking to as your leads to have them sign your buyer agency. Or you can have yourself go into the lead zone where it's like, oh, I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. But they're of no use unless you can convert them. And one of the ways that has helped me tremendously is seeing those names on my paper every single day, writing them down. Who is my priority and my goal today? These are my 5 names that I would like to see them converted this week. What do I need to do more to get to the next level? So it's like a video game, like I see it at that level, where I just see they are in an undecisive mode. I know they
Correct.
have to buy. I know their lease is gonna expire in summer. I know this is what more information? Connecting them with a lender, talking about down deposit, talking about homes, talking about areas. How can I get them to the next round of this home buying process with them? If I have that strategy, like every single day, because now I'm coming from value and not
Correct.
just seeing it as a transaction, but also seeing it as value. What more can I do for them? And printing that on my daily list helps me put my priorities first. Because you know what will happen, like what Charity was talking earlier, you can get busy very quickly. You can start doing things that will keep you entertained, keep you learning more and doing other miscellaneous things. Unless these conversions happen, unless actual business happens, all of that is secondary. So prioritize your day with saying, I got leads from last time, let me call and check in with them. Has anything changed? When was the last time I checked in with them? What's the next thing I need to do? Have they ever spoken to a lender? Maybe the situation has changed. None of that is true until we take the next step.
Correct.
Conversion becomes the next most important thing. From lead generation, great. Let's take the next step. Even if you have just 5 people in your lead system right now, how can you convert them? Make that your goal for January. I need to have 5 fire agency agreements ready in January. Just start with that.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And just on that too, and stay top of mind with them. So, stay top of mind with your, your sphere and, clients and be consistent, whether it be prospecting, lead generation, building your brand, marketing yourself, honing your skills. Just be consistent and show up every day with a plan and a purpose.
Follow up. We do the calls, but we never follow up.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Amber, you want to give one last piece of advice?
I really loved what she just said, and to give you a visual of it, we always give our newer agents a visual of it, is once you get your business going, you're gonna get so busy in the business that you're still not working on the business, and you always need to work on the business and on yourself. And if you were to look at it visually, you would say, okay, there's these top A clients that I need to get off my plate. But at the same time, who are the people over here that I need to get on the plate? And then once I get them moved forward, like how do I create a good experience so they cycle back around and jump back up on the plate at some point in time? And if you look at focusing on each one of those plates a little bit every day, your business will flow, and that's where you'll have consistency. But oftentimes I think we have yo-yo inconsistent businesses, no matter what's going on. Focus on who am I moving off my plate, who's on my plate, my A plate, who's on my B plate, and then these people that I've already converted that are now off my plate, how do I keep them attuned to me so anybody that buys or sells or says the word real estate, they think of Amber and the A team. And if you live your life every day like that in real estate, your business will be consistent no matter what you have going on in your life, whether you have kids, death, sickness. You just have to look at pouring into all different types of people every single day, and the business will show up for you pretty organically.
Masterclass.
Yeah.
Use C-suite as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Eric, tell me. The masterclass I did on Monday gives a lot of like soulful insight and tactical things on just how to create a consistent business, how to keep your mindset right, what you need to do to like foundationally get yourself in a good place every single day. And there's a really good tool on there that you can scan the QR code and get access to called the 12-week tracker. And it really makes you get true with yourself first, because if you want to grow in any aspect of your life, you need to face your reality of where am I at right now? You know what your weaknesses are. And then you take it and what is my reality? If I were wanting to be a 10 in all those aspects, how do I create a 10? And from there, you create your goals and your GPS, short-term and long-term. And then your goals don't come to life unless you have strategies behind them to make them come to life, like getting up every day and making sure you're touching the people on your plate, touching these people over here, posting on social media, adding 10 people to your database. That seems a lot and overwhelming until it becomes your daily routine. And if you can have a consistent daily routine that you are focused on what's bringing you joy and how do you grow yourself, how do I convert the people and move them here on my plate while also nurturing the people I've already converted. If you do all of those things consistently, you can sell however many houses you want to sell. And still, you have the personal aspect of this tool too, where you don't lose yourself and lose your health and lose your relationships and have reckless finances. You need to pay attention to all those things too. So this tool like embraces, you can live a big business, you can have a big business, but also still have a big.
And if I wanted to watch that masterclass,
Yeah,
how
you
could I
go to,
access it?
you go to the fast forward,
There we
move
go.
it under the guide section, and it was the masterclass from this past
There you go.
Monday.
Yeah.
Cool beans.
Sure, I think the advice
I
I
don't
can
promote
give
myself
based on
enough,
my
so I appreciate you
experiences,
saying that.
I have worked a 9-to-5 job. I'm doing my business. I also had my food business earlier. I think it gives us the flexibility and to reach the stage we want to. We are in the control, right? If I want to close 20 million in volume versus 100 million, I can do it. It's up to me, right? But at the end of the day, it's very important to also know and realize what's bringing me joy or happiness at the end of the day. Is it worth it, right? The goals have to be your personal and business, they go together, right? It's not just numbers, are you happy, are you enjoying? Enjoyment is extremely important. You have to love what you do, otherwise you just burn out, period, right? So and there's no perfection as such. There is like, to me, perfection is boring. There's no traditional way of doing anything. We don't have an office space. We end up working at Vicious Brewery in Apex. And our office, like from 9 to 5. I mean, in the morning we have coffee. After 2 p.m. they do not. So we are just, but we brainstorm together because that's our common passion. Because our niche, what we have found is investors is one of them, and we end up. We go together, find shortlist properties, we sit down, do all the numbers, and now we have a good database and trusted clients that they just tell us, okay, Neha, I have 400K, where do you want to invest? It's that trust level, right? But that's something we really enjoy doing. If we see this as a work, and we end up doing, we work 7 days a week. It does not bother us because we have the control over the time. 7 days a week does not mean I'm working 9 to 5. No. Right? And most of my deals happen when I'm on vacation.
Yes, yeah.
Because your energy's vibrating higher.
Yes.
Like there's something magnifying about when you're having fun and enjoying life, things come to you.
Yeah. So most of my clients want to put an offer when I'm on vacation.
Yes.
And this is like
Consistent.
consistent record. So sometimes if you're falling back, she would say, just go on vacation.
Yeah.
I get something.
That's her one reason why.
We were just talking about that because December, we were on a vacation together, and both of us, it was just going, but the vibration, every single time, it does not fail. Whenever we're on a conference or trip, when we all go to Cabo coming up, it's gonna be, I already see it. I love that.
New agents, I think, just remember, there's a season to sow
Yes,
and a season to reap.
yes.
You can't do them both in the same season.
No.
So even if you're pouring in right now, just feel that way that, it will be the season for you to be in business. But
Correct.
just keep doing it.
It'll come to
It'll
fruition.
come.
Well,
It will
if you
come.
want consistent business, you need to sow and reap at the same time.
Yeah.
Because if you just reap and then you stop sowing, 90 days later, you have no business, right? So it's a balance,
It's about
personal, new
Correct.
business. We're gonna talk about this.
for the new
But for
leads,
new, I mean, yeah, you gotta put in the work,
Yeah.
right? There's nothing
But don't
there.
expect that I'm gonna be just up and start saying that I'm ready to do the $1 million a
Right,
month,
right.
Correct.
Give yourself that grace. Give
Yes.
yourself that faith, yes, you can do this.
And focus your wins on small things at
Sure.
first,
Yeah.
like getting up and showing up every day and like,
Celebrate them.
yes.
Yeah.
Celebrate all wins, making that call, celebrate that. I mean, Neha and I sometimes just celebrate that we got an appointment.
Yeah.
Until today, like, little things, like, we were able to do this on time, we will just celebrate it. We made 10 calls, 50 calls, no matter what it is, celebrating them, being joyful in that
Yes.
as well is so important.
It
But
is.
we overlook, we get stressed, and that's when the vibrations that you're referring to take us down,
Yeah.
downstream.
Winners win.
Yeah,
All gas, no
I
bricks.
love it.
All right, guys,
Cool beans.
give them a round of applause. We didn't need a question and answer time. Lovely lenders who you love, who sponsors every single one.
Oh, he's out of his sling, Franco.
So
He's got both arms.
Let's take a break right now,
Oh.
grab some food, come right back, so otherwise we're gonna be here all freaking day. And then we're gonna do some insight from our lenders as well as their leading. All right, guys, I'm on, we'll be back in about 10 minutes.